Ladies and gents, welcome back to The Random. As you can tell, Goodman Brothers are back in the building. We're here for our Takeoff Sports Talk segment. Once again, we got Greg Goody, we got Aj, we got T in the building, and you know me, your host with the most, Smallwood Worldwide. Welcome to our Supreme Clientele episode. So today we're going to jump in on a few of our hot blazing topics. We're going to start off with our top 5 heavyweights of all time. T, who are your top 5 heavyweight boxers of all time? What you got for us?
Ooh, well, my list probably won't be all that different than y'all's list. I am going to go, I'll go backwards, I guess, from 5 down to 1. I actually have as my number 5, Lennox Lewis. And this is a man that I didn't really respect while he was fighting for a lot of reasons. But after he retired, I went back and started going over his career and listening to his interviews and all that. I kind of became a fan. He talks crazy. He's he's only got a couple of losses, and he went back and he avenged those losses.
Yeah.
He actually was a really good champion. I didn't really, appreciate him that much while he was fighting. But he grew on me afterwards. And I think a lot of it had to do with him being on it might have been HBO Sports when he was commentating fights. He was just talking all kinds of crazy about all the stuff he used to do and what he would do and all that. Yeah, so I said, you know what? I think I'm a fan. So he's my number 5. Number 4, of course, I got Mr. Mike Tyson. Love Mike Tyson, always have. Watched all of his fights up until actually, I think I've seen every one of his fights. There was just so much anticipation about his fights, and you didn't want to miss a second, because if you did miss a second, you might miss the whole fight. Back in the day, he was just knocking people out right away, man. Ding, ding, ding. Not even 2 rounds later, it's over. You get up, go to the bathroom, and go get a snack, and you come back, and everybody's, got this going on. You're like, damn, I missed the fight. So Mike Tyson is my number 4. Number 3, I've got Mr. Larry Holmes. And a lot of that is because not just of his boxing style, but I think he was really, in the history of the sport, he's one of the most dismissed fighters, I think, because he was champion after the great one, after Muhammad Ali. And he was right there at Rocky Marciano's record. I think he was robbed. I don't remember much about the fight, but I don't think that Spinks did enough to win the fight. If he was the champ, worst case, it should have gone to him, I think. But I think
I should be.
Yeah, I think it was baloney. I think they cheated him. They didn't like him because he was, he was bold, he was black. He would say stuff like, you can kiss me where the sun don't shine. Since we on HBO, that's my big black behind, that kind of stuff. Ray Holmes, that's my dude. And then, who doesn't like somebody who's going to do the drop kick off a limo? I don't know. I mean, I know at least 2 of y'all saw that.
Yeah. That's one of the illest things ever.
Old Larry.
Yeah, man. And my number 2 is Joe Louis. Actually, I've always really been a big time Joe Louis fan. I know that he had to, kind of be inside of the box because of some of the previous, one particular previous black champion back in those days. So he had to, kind of be on his P's and Q's, on his best behavior. But what a great fighter! I mean, a lot of modern boxing or boxers, I think, got picked up a lot from his style. He had a lot of heart. He would slip punches really well, hit really hard. I just really admired him. He had a great training regimen for somebody back in that time too. I mean, a lot of the things that he did still resonate today. And he was, strangely enough, also the first black person to play in a PGA Tour event. Strangely enough, I mean, that's just a weird fact that I ran into years ago, and I was like, really, Joe Louis? Right.
That's news. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. It was like one of those weird facts that just kind of stuck with me because it was so odd. So Joe Louis is my number 2. Number 1, of course, is Muhammad Ali. He's my favorite of all time. He's the greatest to me. And I'm sure he's on you guys' list, so I will leave it to you to explain why he's the man.
No doubt, Aj, what you got for us?
Okay, first of all, outside looking in, Apollo Creed, of course. Adonis Creed, of course. And my number one, spoiler alert, Rocky Marciano. So I'll just go ahead and start at 5 real quick then. He beat Joe Louis. You know what? Never mind. My number 5 is Mike Tyson. He's fearsome. He's crazy. I oftentimes tell people I have a DVD of Mike Tyson's first 40 fights, and it's 2.5 hours. That should just tell you everything you need to know. And it has the complete fights on them. It's a 2.5 hour DVD. It's like his first 40 fights.
Wait, right? Only 2. Yeah, I was
like
resonating with it. Wait, did he say what I thought he said?
Yeah. I told someone that, they were like, that doesn't seem possible. I was like, oh, it's possible. I watched it.
That sounds like snippets.
My number 4, who I thought I was going to slip in and look like a real pugilist historian, was Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was defended the title almost as many times as Joe Louis did. He had it forever. Got cheated against Spinks twice, I believe. It wasn't just once.
You're right. It was twice.
He was beating people up even after Tupac called him flabby and sick in a song, which is still one of the worst disses I've ever heard.
That was 50 Cent that said that.
No, it was Tupac. Tupac was like, looking like Larry Holmes, flabby and sick.
You're right.
It was but it doesn't matter.
I knew it was some rapper that got shot.
Even flabby and sick, Larry Holmes was giving people them hands. So
yeah, I wouldn't step to him.
Yeah, he was a bad man all the way through. And Larry Holmes is my number 4. My number 3 is actually, ironically, Joe Louis. Although he fought in an era where they said, there's the bum of the month and all this other crap. He beat whoever they put out in front of him. He won maybe what was seen back then, I guess, is one of the most important sporting events ever, when he beat up Max Schmeling, and that was the whole thing. Between him and Jesse Owens, of course, again, black people saved America. So there you go. So Joe Louis was great. My number 2 though is Joe Frazier. Smoking Joe Frazier is my number 2. And the reason why Smoking Joe Frazier is my number 2 is because not only was he beat a lot of people in their prime, although he lost to a lot of good ones too. But it was just more so his fighting style and his rhythm, how he came about it, how he came up. He was a mixture of a couple of different people that you see nowadays, but he was singularly all on his own. And I think the biggest trait that he had was his heart, basically. I mean, like, if you honestly strip away the extraordinary talent that he had, he was Rocky. I mean, he basically was the Rocky story. Philadelphia, southpaw, squatted down, did this, did that, was bopping his head the whole time, fought on the inside, but hell of a one of the greatest left hooks of all time. And he was fun to watch. Muhammad Ali helped probably make him as well known as he is as far as his legacy goes, but without Muhammad Ali, God knows how long he would have had the belt.
So they ran into George Foreman.
Well, George Foreman, that dude who could have also been on this list, who really was an Apollo Creed spot at number 6. Sorry. And last but not least, the greatest athlete I believe that's ever lived, and that is Rocky Marciano. I think that no, it's Muhammad Ali. It's Muhammad Ali. I mean, like,
let me go on for a second.
Huh?
He's going for a second. I was like, wait,
he did beat Joe Louis's ass and Jersey Joe Wilcox. Look, the point is that Muhammad Ali is, if you just took the fights of the fighters that everybody knows, he's fought like 20 fights. That's what everybody knows, and that's over like 40, like it's over like 4 decades, a stretch of. He fought, well, it's probably not 4 decades, more like 2 or maybe 3. But I mean, he fought everybody from Zora Foley to Larry Holmes and Trevor Burbick. Like, that's a long stretch. And he was out of his prime, literally from the guy I just mentioned all the way and he was still one of the best ever. So first person to ever win the heavyweight title twice, back when there was only one belt. First person ever 3 times, back when it was only one belt. And, you know, every boxer who's ever lived after or ever fought after he shook up the world has in one way or another emulated something that Muhammad Ali has done. And that's my top 5.
Nice. Greg, what you got for us?
Oh, okay, Jim. The first, my number 5 fighter is Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes had the cleanest jab I've ever seen from a heavyweight in my life. He was, and he was mean. Like, people don't understand.
Yes.
Like, Larry Holmes was mean. He looked like the kind of dude that just grew up and like take stray cats and swing them by the tail for no reason. Like, he's a mean dude. Larry was a problem. Like, just one of the greatest jabs I've ever seen in boxing, one of the greatest runs I've ever seen in boxing, and that's in all weight classes. He went 47-0 and then was cheated twice. So I count Larry Holmes' first actual L was to Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Like, every other time he's ever lost, he's been cheated, robbed, and basically stuck up by the judges. So Larry Holmes is my number 5. Number 4 is Mike Tyson. Now, here's the thing about Mike Tyson. I do believe in my heart of hearts, had Angelina, you know what I'm talking about, Dundee, the guy. Had he
Yeah. Cuss.
Yeah.
Customato.
That's right.
Yeah.
Customato.
Yeah, that's my fault. If Customato had lived 10 years longer, we'd be having a real discussion about who the greatest fighter on the planet is. Mike Tyson, skill-wise, is the second cleanest fighter I've ever seen in my life. His footwork was amazing. His ability to slip punches, amazing. So his defense and footwork, off the charts. His speed, especially for his size, probably the fastest heavyweight I've seen with his hands outside of Ali in my entire life. The way he took advantage of his height in the ring, being shorter, being able to crouch down and then come up with such power and velocity and speed because he was crouched down and using that as an advantage, a brilliant technique. The peekaboo style, nobody had ever really used it to that level successfully until Mike Tyson. He mastered it because of Customato taught it to him, and he absorbed it all, and no one's ever mastered that style better than Mike Tyson.
It's true.
The power. There might be 2 other fighters that hit harder than Mike Tyson in the history of boxing. And that's George Foreman and Ernie Shavers. There might be the only ones that hit harder than Mike Tyson. But here's what they don't have. Mike Tyson is a sharper puncher than both of them, which means he knows where to hit, how to hit, and he's faster. So we're talking about a guy who's top 5 in every category that you can think of in boxing. And it all got ruined because he did too much too fast. I mean, it's one thing to be 20 years old and filthy rich. Yeah. And it's another thing to be 20-year-old, filthy rich, and famous. It's a whole other thing to be filthy rich, famous, and you can literally beat everyone's ass on the planet. Of course, it's going to go off the rails.
And his interview,
of course, things are going to go off the rails.
You know what I mean?
If you don't have any guidance, that is a surefire way to lose control. Nobody ever looks at Mike like that. They're talking like he was a grown man at 20. Do you remember you at 20? You talk about some bad decisions that would have been made if I was Mike. Oh Lord.
Nobody's checking you.
Yeah, they know who's gonna check you. Who? You better bring.
That's not a chance anybody's willing to take.
Check Mike. You better bring SWAT with you. But anyway, but technically, from a boxing point of view, skill set, top level, Mike Tyson is my second person on this list. He's number 2, but I put him at number 4 because of record and the things that had transpired. And then there's other guys that are ahead of him because of other things outside of the ring that they've done. Number 3, Joe Louis. TJ already explained it. He's basically the father of modern boxing for heavyweights. He's the architect of he's the architect of technique in the ring for boxing. There's before Joe Louis and then after Joe Louis. That's how it goes in boxing. And then the upgrade was Muhammad Ali, but nobody could ever duplicate that. So the modern boxing style, fashion, everything else all comes from Joe Louis. He's the guy. It starts with him as far as technique, skill, and even some training things that TJ had mentioned before. Number 2, Jack Johnson. Let me tell you something right now. I don't think there's ever been a more outrageous nigga on the planet. This guy, this guy did whatever he wanted to do in the 19 teens. Like, I've never seen anyone with balls this size. And he was beating the brakes off of white men. Pause. He was beating the brakes off of white men left and right. And then going home, speeding through town with white women. And then betting. They had to make laws to stop him. They made a movie about this man named King Kong. Like, that's all about Jack Johnson.
Oh.
Not to mention he's an inventor. He made the monkey wrench, which he called the wrench, but him being black, they called it the monkey wrench.
Greg, if I could just interject real quick with a cool Jack Johnson story.
Please do.
He used to drive automobiles really fast. His cop stopped him, and he paid him twice as much. The cop said, "Yo, it's only $20, not $40." He said, "Well, I'm gonna speed it going on the way back."
That's that's for the one on the way back. Yeah, I heard that story.
Yeah, I like that.
He was like, "I'm gonna do the same thing on the way back. I'm just kidding."
Take your money up front.
Yeah, and he is the living embodiment of ain't never scared. Like, him and Ali are the 2 ain't never been scared as Negroes I've ever seen on the planet. They weren't scared of nothing. Complete and total belief in himself. And it took, I don't know how long he held the belt. I don't know how many fights he had.
Long time.
But it took him to be, he had to age out to lose. That's basically the only way he lost. He aged out, and they finally found somebody who could beat him. But besides that, I mean, as far as boxing careers that people don't speak enough on, Jack Johnson,
good pick.
One of the greatest.
One
of the greatest by far. And then, of course, number 1, Muhammad Ali, not just because of what he did in the ring. Look, I'll say this. I can even change this list up. I can make number 1 Ali and number 2 Cassius Clay. He's had 2 separate careers, basically, where he was whooping.
Yo,
everyone,
hold on.
and it wasn't close.
Do you think Cassius Clay could beat Muhammad Ali?
Maybe. I think Cassius Clay was faster. I think Cassius Clay was he couldn't beat Ali, because Ali was a better tactician than Cassius.
Okay.
It's like it's almost like asking, could 80s Jordan beat 90s Jordan? Yeah, 80s Jordan was faster. You know, he had more get up, but 90s Jordan, he just backed 80s Jordan down, fade, got you. Like, that's how that'd be the difference between Ali and Cassius Clay.
It's a good call.
That is a good
call.
I like
it. Yeah. But
when
yeah,
you said
Ali
that, I started playing that old commercial where he was playing, when Jordan was playing against all the different versions.
Yeah.
That's a great
Just when you thought I was safe outside. But anyway, yeah, Ali, and plus, I mean, just outside of the ring, even if Ali wasn't a fighter, he's still my favorite fighter. Just for his political stance. You've seen the way he talked on these talk shows and everything else. I mean, he was for someone who they called a dummy, and he sure had a lot of wise things to say. That's all I'm gonna say about Ali. He's a brilliant fighter, an even better person, and someone who would stand up for what he believes. And I don't think you can name 10 other athletes that will be willing to go to jail for their cause.
You can't.
So,
no.
Ali's number one across the board in every spectrum of the sport, in the ring and outside of the ring, with a close second to Jack Johnson, because that nigga was wild. We'll go ahead.
2 for 20. So I'm gonna jump in. I mean, everything y'all said is fantastic. Is what makes this like not even really debatable, but just fascinating to hear the different stances on each boxer. I'll be quick because y'all covered most of my list already. My number 5 is Max Schmeling. No, I'm just kidding. It's
I was like,
no.
Oh.
My,
the honorable mention, Little Mac from Mike Tyson's Punch
Out.
Little
there
Mac.
you go. Honorable mention. But no, I had Larry Holmes at number 5. I felt like growing up as a kid in the 80s, Holmes never got enough respect for his style. And when you get older and, thanks to shout out to YouTube, being able to watch some of these old fights that I didn't necessarily get to see all of them when I was a kid, he was really, really good. And then somebody caught what I watched during a fight. He was mean, like a mean streak. And I like that in like a fighter, because I feel like today, a lot of heavyweights is just like touch and go. Like he was trying to get you out of there, and if he got you, you were done, so I liked a lot of his work there. I think my number 4 was Lennox Lewis. I almost didn't put him on my list because I felt like the reasons that I just kind of criticized the current boxers. He's too nice. He's a phenomenal boxer, but I felt like if he had more like of a mean streak in him, not like after he got beat or knocked out like by Hasim Rahman or something like that. Like if he just came to the fight ready to go, he would have been probably 10 times more legendary than what he is. But he made my list nonetheless. My number 3 is actually Evander Holyfield. Like, I don't think I don't know if I have him top 3 for skill so much as I loved his fights. He always had a lot of exciting fights to me.
Biggest heart ever.
Huh?
Well, second biggest heart on a fighter I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, like he'd get in there like and fight dirty.
Headbutt I've ever seen.
Well, listen.
Sorry. I was just like,
got to use those advantages.
Hey, I'm gonna let you go.
But no, he would get in there and like, today I feel like again over time, boxing is turned, it's sometimes into glorified exhibitions, but he's from that era when they would get up in there and it's uppercuts, body blows, headbutts if it happened, is whatever it needed to do to get the fight done. So I always admire his warrior spirit there. So I think he's great. My number 2 is my favorite boxer of all time, but I can't put him at number 1 because everybody's number 1 here is the same. But Mike Tyson, I've always admired Mike Tyson. I loved all his fights. There's nothing I can say that y'all didn't say about it except this. I watched Mike Tyson at 15 years old knock somebody out, I think in like 8 seconds or something like that. And it was the most frightening. So when I watch fights, right, it's a weird thing. This is what I do when I watch boxing. I try to put myself in the eyes of the person who gets knocked out. Like, what do you see? And I watch Tyson in the corner getting ready as the ref is like, you ready. And I'm just looking at him and I'm looking at this poor dude and I'm like, this just looks bad. And he made a beeline and cut off the ring from him and he started to peekaboo shit and hit. And before you knew it, it was done. And I had to rewind it like 8 or 10 times to see which punch hit him that put him down, because he got hit a few times real fast. And then I went back and I looked at the beginning of the fight and I looked at his neck and I said, wait, he was 15? Was he like a 15 from another country? Like, what are we doing? There's a real, I've never seen, you don't see grown men who, listen, you have to take what you got to take to get like that to be in a Creed movie, okay? You telling me that Mike Tyson just came out like, bam, and because if you hit him, his head is not going anywhere. Like, what are you doing? And he's lightning fast at that point, and he had custom auto. There was no Kevin Rooney stealing his money. And I'm of the mindset that Rooney was a very good trainer, that even though Cuss had died, if Rooney doesn't rob him, he still goes on to have an even better career than what he had before the derailment of,
Rooney was a really good. Rooney was a real good trainer. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Rooney, and he had what's his name? You know what? Forget it.
All good. Okay. Doesn't matter. No, I think that the reason I hated that for him is that he was, I think Greg brought up the point, he was so young with everything, and you're a young champion, you got everything like that, and then you realize you can't trust anybody around you. The one person you could trust that you felt you could anyway, Cuss, as far as we know, wasn't ripping him off or nothing, he's gone. And so at that point, you know, he fell into the wrong hands, et cetera, and history was what it was. But he's just, there's never been for me a more exciting fighter, boxer, his press conferences. I mean, the things he would say, sometimes I go back and watch this stuff. I'm like, yo, this is insane. Like, what do you do if you're a reporter and you realize he's standing on town business? He means what he just said to you. You probably want to pack up and get out before he gets done, because he might come see you still. So
that's when you hit him with that back to you, Jim. That's when you get on up out of there.
I wanted no part of that. But yeah, even to this day, if you watch Mike training, like in 50 something, almost 60 years old, look how fast he is. And like his clarity of thought on what he's doing. People are like, oh, that's nothing. And I'm like, you have guys who are training today, like 30 years younger, that can't do some of the stuff he's doing with the training, like slip this and that. Like the instincts is still there. And I'm like, I just go back and try to imagine what would happen, you know, like Marvel's What If, like if we can go back in time and Cuss stays alive, what do we get through a 90s Tyson with Cus D'Amato and a tighter circle around him? It's scary.
I tell you what we get is a LeBron James, Michael Jordan conversation about who's the GOAT. That's what we get.
It's tough. So he's my number 2, and my heart number 1. But again, Muhammad Ali, number 1 overall. That was never in doubt. To me, it's never been a more, well, no, I don't want to say that. I don't want to minimize nobody else. But for me, there's never been a more meaningful athlete, period, let alone heavyweight boxer. You know, when you're considered to be heavyweight champion, it's like you're the baddest person on the planet who's, you know, you've beaten the best of the best. And he did that. And then in his prime, you know, went away for some, you know, BS there, and then came back and still had a very good career for somebody that went through, wasn't it like 5+ years or something that he was gone?
3 years.
Three.
Yes.
Three prime boxing years. That's a lot.
That's a long time.
That's a lot.
And he had his prime snatched away from him. And I had to double check while we were talking about them. I was like, oh, that's right. I said he only lost 5 fights. Like, and think about the fights he lost.
They're all title fights. I think all title fights. So.
And 3 years back then was a lot, because it's not like nowadays where people only fight like once a year or something.
Yeah.
You know, 4 times a year at least. So
yeah, he's 56 and like every 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got people now, like you said, once a year, if you're lucky. You know, oh, my ankle's not feeling good today. You know, I see y'all in 2025. What about 2024? Load management.
And that one, those 3 years, that's another one where if you take that away, I don't see him losing. I don't see him losing to Joe Frazier.
No,
he wouldn't have lost to Joe Frazier.
I see it. In fact, I see it being a landslide, because he would have, when he was gone for those 3 years, by the time he came back, he had lost a little bit of speed and everything from not being able to train and do the things that he normally does at that same level.
Exactly.
Had he stayed in the ring those 3 years, ain't no way. He would have jabbed Frazier to death.
But see, that was the
jab and Frazier would have never been able to catch him. He'd have been too fast.
He's a brilliant tactician. Like, he knew how to, I felt like he knew the blueprint on how to beat everybody. But post those 3 years, he just had, I think T just said that's a long time to be out of the fight game, especially at that time. So again,
inactive.
Yeah, the original style of Ali to this day cannot be duplicated. It hasn't been duplicated. he would beat any of these. I mean, I guess it's easier to say the heavyweights now because they're not nearly as skilled or in as good a shape, and they're a lot bigger and heavier. But
yeah.
they couldn't do anything without no. I mean, that's an easy thing, the easiest thing to say all day. No, they couldn't do anything with him. That's
no.
He moved.
Who's beating him today from whether it's what you say, Cassius Clay and Ali? Nobody today in heavyweight is seeing them. No AJ, no Fury. No
the work rate is not fast enough to keep up with someone like him. It's just not. It's not fast enough. They're just not.
Wasn't he like 6'5", 6'6"? Like
I'll give you. Yeah, he was like 6'4", but I'll give you an example of.
Talking about Ali.
Yeah.
He was 6'3", and he was.
It's like he was like 210, 215. In his prime.
Yeah,
but just to give you an idea of how good someone like Ali is, everybody else had Mike Tyson on their list from a range of 2 to 5. Mike Tyson trained that dude who hadn't boxed ever, and he almost knocked out Tyson Fury using the style that you used to talk about Mike Tyson.
Yep.
Insane.
That's to tell you everything you need to know about the dudes that we grew up watching boxing, as far as in the heavyweight era. So
yeah,
exactly. And the last point I make on Ali for me personally was that I love great trash talkers, and he's one of the goats of that shit of all time. And I love to Greg's point how he could flip that, and he'd give you some knowledge in a lot of these interviews. The stuff he was saying, not just ahead of his time, but for that time, somebody of that stature to speak out in the way that he did, he didn't have to do it. He could have literally taken a much easier route, but listen. Nobody
Mike Tyson, not Mike Tyson. Muhammad Ali is the father of Ric Flair and all the rest of these dudes. Nobody was talking it until he started talking it. Not to that level. Not the bravado, the style, the I'm pretty stuff. I'm the great. Nobody was saying
I'm
that
so
kind
pretty.
of stuff. At least nobody was saying it on camera. I tell you that.
No.
It might have been some young pimp back in the day who was saying things like that, but he wasn't on camera.
Yeah, he was a man of incredible courage. It's almost immeasurable.
When he died, presidents from other countries came to the funeral. That was so.
I said he's probably top 5 most recognizable people on the planet.
Like ever though.
I'm talking about ever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mouse maybe. Go ahead, Antoine. I'm sorry.
I don't want to derail the conversation, but shout out to everybody's top 5 list here. As you can see, all the heavyweights we got, all fighters, all legends, all folks who paved the way. But what's a great heavyweight fighter or any fighter without a great fight? So, what is your favorite sports fight of all time? All right. And listen, keyword is your favorite, because there's so many to choose from. Some of these fights were short, some of them are long. If you watch hockey, it could be frightening, but at the end of the day, they're all entertaining. Arch, kick us off on this topic. What you got for us?
I was hoping you picked me last, because this could go real bad. Okay, so the best fight ever, unfortunately, I know I'm gonna spoil this for everyone else, is the Malice in the Palace. That's the best fight ever. That's the best.
It is. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
However, my favorite fight of all time is Knicks versus Heat, when Charlie Ward got flipped by PJ Brown and then they started the melee. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that was great.
Because I never was a fan of the Knicks. I'll to this day, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna stop because I know we went long in the first segment. So I was laying on the couch like this, watching the playoffs. I saw his feet go. I was like, what's going on?
Oh, man.
I'm gonna leave it at that. Knicks Heat is my favorite of all time. Maybe even throw in a Reggie Miller versus Mike Jordan. Throw that in there too. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it for me. I'm gonna be quiet on the rest of this.
No doubt. T, what you got for us?
Man, originally I was gonna go with a real boxing match because
Oh, that'd have been cool.
that I'm gonna lay that one out there first. So it's my favorite one is Margarito versus Mosley. I know it's
Ooh.
really you guys have seen that apparently. I don't know how many people have, but man, what a show. I think it's the best fight that Mosley ever fought. It was just about perfect. You know, he bullied the bully. I think Mosley was like 37 years old when he fought.
Yeah, he's an old man.
And Margarito was highly favored, and he just.
You know why that happened, right? You heard the story behind it.
Nah.
Yeah, that was Mosley's girl's fault.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Yeah, but go ahead.
She shouldn't have been talking shit. That's all. She talked Margarito into the worst ass whipping he ever had in his life.
He took a beating because Margarito had a pretty good chin.
Yeah.
Shane Mosley was like, "Yeah, I'm glad you got a good chin because I'm gonna be touching it all night." It was just about perfect. I don't even think. Yeah, Paul. I don't even think Margarito really. I think he might have hit him flush one time.
Yeah.
Shane kind of had a look on his face like, really? And then he followed up with like 6 blister punches. I mean, it's easily the best fight he ever had. So that's my favorite boxing match to watch because it was like a perfect fight. But my favorite sports fight of all time, we're going right back to the first list. Larry Holmes, Trevor Berbick.
The drop kick.
How you be a professional heavyweight boxer? Get up on top of your limousine, run across the roof, and jump down and do a Hulk Hogan leg drop in the middle of the crowd. It was, I don't know how long I laughed. I must have rewound that thing 10 times, man. It was so awesome.
That's Philly all day.
Yeah,
he just wanted the action, yo. That's crazy.
Who drops number one? Who leg drops people? I mean, most people. I wouldn't leg drop somebody if they're on the ground. I certainly wouldn't go jumping off a car and do it.
No, too many things that could go wrong.
Exactly. It wasn't like Holmes with the spring chicken.
What happened if you miss and your leg turned like that? Now you ain't going nowhere, and you about to get the beats.
Yo, Larry Holmes did this at like 50. Like,
he was not a bit. He was.
This is the most immature shit I've ever seen from a 50-year-old in my life. Yo,
He called it immature, yo.
Yo, he did that shit like he never paid taxes. Like this thing. That shit was juvenile. It was a juvenile action.
Seriously, how angry would you have to be to jump on somebody from get up on an object and literally jump down on somebody?
You got to be mad as hell.
Yeah.
He said on site.
He was beside himself. He was beside himself.
It was on site. He was not playing.
Right.
I ain't never seen And I remember I came on Sports Center. Was it Sports Center or like that's where I saw it?
I don't remember where I saw it.
The first time it was on TV, and we were like, "What?"
Wow.
Yo, and I thought it was like a promo for like SummerSlam. I didn't know what was going
on. Back then, it could have been.
That's what it looked like.
I don't want to steal nobody else's joint, but that just you think the pre-boxing fights with Mitch Green talking crazy to Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
That was great too.
It popped in my head after that.
Me, some Michelle Tyson.
Unbelievable.
Roll up like this, man.
Yeah.
Machete. Did he say? He said Michelle, and he was like machete.
Machete.
That was crazy.
Yo, he had Mitch Green looking like he was not from this planet. Like he looked.
He looked chubby.
You know what he looked like? He looked like that thing that knew Quado on Turtle Recall. Like
he looked like the back of Mitch Green's jacket.
He caught a hit, man.
His eyeball was like, "Why you do that? Why you talk to him like that? You know better."
Just let it shine through.
Now I gotta see.
The only spelling worse than that Rockman thing with his.
Yeah, that's
the hematoma joint was crazy.
Is that what they call it? It looked like somebody shoved a football under his skin.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, what happened with that? Didn't he get like headbutted by somebody? Who did he get headbutted by?
It was something crazy,
Yeah.
but they called it a
He got
severe
headbutted,
hematoma.
yeah.
That shit just kept swelling and swelling. I said, is he gonna explode? I had never seen nothing like that at that time.
Yeah.
I
They
know
had
who
my
it is.
man
I'm not gonna
looking
say
like chocolate Rocky Dennis.
I know who did it. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
I bet you do. I'm gonna jump in here, then I'm gonna let Greg take us home on this topic, right? So, just a couple of my favorites before I get to my all-time favorite, right? Nolan Ryan in baseball versus Ventura. So, throwback joint.
You already took my joint. That was the
Pitchers
best.
love to get ran up on, and
Yo.
he grabbed him and gave like a little noogie and joint. Yo,
No, that wasn't his
nigga.
noogie. That was, he put those old farmer hands
He
all
sure
over
did.
dude's face.
Yes.
You know what's crazy? He couldn't move either. You know how the kangaroos be having people and people like they can't move. They're like he's too strong. That's how he had.
Said, no, I had never seen nobody get a hold to somebody like that outside of a UFC ring. I've never seen it.
Literally like a drum.
Yo,
Literally like a drum, yo.
Yo, he had that headlock so tight. He really could have went off the top ropes. He could have went full Macho Man on him. I ain't never seen a headlock that tight. The last time I saw someone's head grip that tight, it was on Casino with old Joe Pesci money.
Yo,
put his head in that vice grip.
That's a good one though. Yeah.
That Nolan Ryan's a good pick, man. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Sure
I
is.
love that joint. I watch that to this day. I just like any day I just need like a good laugh. I'm like, you know what? Let me pull this up when he thought he's running up on the old man. He's like, oh, I'll show you what these hands do.
Yeah.
He better. I bet he never ran up on nobody after
it
that.
almost looked choreographed. Like he ran and he just kind of stood there, and as soon as he got closer, we just yoink. And then just
Crazy.
I love that. Another one that I loved was, what was it? Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo. Like that was like a crazy fight that I didn't expect. Like I didn't realize they had the history they had, and it was like you felt it. It was like bloop bloop, and it was on. And then Brandon Ingram ran in, punched somebody in the back. It was just crazy chaos.
Brandon Ingram threw the wild straight. Like he threw a wild straight.
Yes.
The last time I saw a straight thrown that wild and nice by a dude that tall was at Malice in the Palace. Shout out to Jermaine O'Neal.
Yo.
And if that's on your list, I'm gonna let you take us home with that one. But that's my all-time favorite one is Malice at the Palace. But
I'm just gonna keep it real short with that one because we all know what happened.
Listen,
like it's literally the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like
all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna pass it to you. That shit was like a ballet for me. It belonged in the Louvre. Let me tell you.
Dude, to watch well-trained athletes beat up regular civilians is one of the biggest joys that I've ever had in my life. Like, everyone's always talking crazy. They're always up in the stands talking nutty. Why don't you come up here? Come on up here. Well,
got what you asked for.
They came on up and they beat up rows of people. Entire rows of people.
The sliding punch, with Jermaine O'Neal, that's one of the all-time.
I'm telling you right now, they're lucky that spilt beer was still down there. Jermaine O'Neal would be locked up right now for manslaughter.
I'll never forget what they said at the end when they said, "Ooh, big shot by O'Neal."
That's at the commentary.
O'Neal.
It was crazy because when you saw it in slow motion, like the dude fell in like sections. Like first his knees went, then like his stomach shifted, then the rest of them just tumbled down like the towers. I was like, oh my gosh. And not to mention, the wildest, hardest haymaker I've ever seen anyone throw. When Steven Jackson made his way up there to help Ron Artest, I don't know who that first dude was, and he probably doesn't know who he is either.
That boy came from back here.
He brought that joint from home. He pulled his arm back from Houston and let that joint fly, and he cracked Buddy square in the side of his head, which means he basically hit his whole face because Steven Jackson's a basketball player, and he can palm a pumpkin. So he gave Buddy a brain contusion. Like there's something like he punched some memories out of dude's skull.
Memory card corrupted.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't access that part of my brain no more, yo.
Yep.
You know what was funny in that fight too?
He may have lost his job. Like he couldn't remember anything.
He may have lost his job.
He may have lost
Yo,
his
but
whole
the dude
job.
that threw the beer on Artest when Artest was like chilling, can you imagine you do that? You get choked out and then you lose your job. And then I know somebody in your life is going to remind you.
Well,
you.
Here's the thing. Ron Artest didn't get the guy who threw the beer on him. You see, he was smart enough to run. The guy beside him stood there. And he's the one who took that L. The guy that actually hit Ron Artest with the beer, he made it out. Scott
like, oh, he's coming for real. Oh, he's really
they found him later. Yeah, they found him later on that day. He wasn't taking none of that. He threw that beer. He saw Ron pop up. He was like, "Whoops!" He beat feet right out the stadium, yo. He beat feet right out the arena.
Ron Artest used to practice with a weight vest on. What are they doing? What are you doing?
I said,
practice against professionals with a weight.
Hey, look, I'll tell you this. Shout out to Detroit. That's hard. Like, there's no way. There's no way I would square up with any of those dudes. I wouldn't square up with Muggsy Bogues. He's a professional athlete, son. Like, you're not gonna beat this dude. He's not gonna get tired. Best I can give you is a sneak and hope for a knockout. That's the best I can give you. I gotta give him that he ain't seeing this coming shot. That's all that's all I got for you. Pause. But anyway, and my favorite actual fight, Floyd Mayweather versus Gotti.
Oh, yes.
I've never seen a fight more perfectly fought in my entire life. It is the most lopsided beating I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he made Gotti look like an amateur. I would have thought this was Gatti's first fight. I've never seen anyone, just the combinations that Floyd put together. And I don't think Floyd got hit.
It's a perfect game.
No, not like
that. It was
a
perfect fight.
Yeah, perfect game.
I've never seen anyone
that was back
put together a more dominant performance in my entire life.
He was still Pretty Boy Floyd then, right?
You said what?
He was still Pretty Boy Floyd. He was transferring over to Money Floyd. Okay. This was still back when he would win a fight, he'd still cry.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he dropped to his knees and cried. Oh, God is so good. God is so good. He went from that to owning a strip club.
After he beat De La Hoya, he was like, you know what? Maybe it shouldn't be a surprise anymore. Yeah, shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that because we had watched the Crawford Spence fight, and we were talking about how that was a complete dominant performance and everything else.
Yeah,
and I was like, I got to see where this ranks amongst the other ones, and that's how I came about to watch that Floyd Gotti fight again, and it don't come close. But did his thing,
right?
But I've never seen anyone dominate.
Yeah, Floyd was
life. I might as well have been in the ring with Floyd. That's how bad it looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Because I like Gotti, that one's hard for me to watch. I'm okay with watching the Moses Margarito thing.
Like Antonio Margarito, you get it, but
yeah.
And
I don't like what he did in Cotto. That's why.
And the last one, and then I'm completely done.
Yeah.
The best fight that I've ever seen in my life, Gotti Ward won. I love that fight. Now that was a movie.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That is the greatest performance I've seen by two guys in the ring going at it in my life. I mean, it's right up there with Ali Frazier 1. It's on that level. Oh no, 3. Yeah, you're right. 3. It's up there with Ali Frazier 3.
Here's a quick bonus question though for everybody. Now that you just said that, right? Do you all prefer with fights, boxing, whatever fight that you watch, right? Do you prefer it to be that kind of fight that you just described, or like just a total domination? What do you prefer to see?
If I had to pay money,
because there's an art to the domination from like somebody like Floyd too, when you're pitching a shutout, but then those kind of fights too, when it's a complete war.
I'd rather see a complete war. I'd rather see Hagler Hearns than, you know what I mean? Because usually you're regardless of how much you like each of the fighters, you usually invested in more one or the other. You see one of them get dominated, it's gonna be, you're either gonna be on the good side of that or the bad side of it. So
yeah.
I'm more along the lines of it depends on who's fighting,
Yeah.
It's Holmes Cooney. You know what I want to say. But if it's Crawford Spence, I want to see something other than what I saw, right? So yeah.
Clooney, this is Ronald Reagan. I don't want you to go out there and beat that jigaboo.
My answer is the same as Cheese, so I throw it to Greg.
It depends on what I'm trying to look for when I'm watching the fight. Now, if I just want to be entertained, as far as like just looking at a great slugfest, I go the other way. But if I want to study technique and see how somebody's doing something and their way they're executing during the fight, I'd rather see the landslide. Because I learned a lot about how Floyd fights by watching that fight. After I watched that fight, I could see exactly where the fight was going every Floyd Mayweather fight after that. His technique was, once you saw him do perfection, then every fight that you saw after that, you could see the perfection in his fights. You know what I'm saying? It was so it depends for me. It depends on the skill set of the person who's dominating.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll say
like
this about
No,
go ahead, finish your point. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, if you're gonna dominate, it's gonna be like a sloppy domination. It looks, you're just goofing off, trying new stuff, and it looks, childish almost. I don't care. I don't care to see that. But if you're in the ring and it's a perfectly executed fight, then you can learn a lot from that. It's like watching a white dude trying to cover Michael Jordan in the 90s. Like, you learn so much looking at what Jordan did execution-wise with his footwork and everything else. It's, like, that's how you learn. It was hard to do that. It took a little bit when you watched old, Dumars up on him. Like, that's you had to see him go through adversity. But, Danny Ainge on the wing, let me look at this man's footwork and see how
barbecue chicken.
You see how he's getting this space and getting the shot off.
Now, see, to your point with that, right? I like the fact you mentioned the thing about the Floyd and a lot to learn there, because like in football, everybody's like, oh, the tush push, everybody can do it. No, everybody can't do what Jalen Hurts is doing. It's the same thing with Floyd, right? You've had a bunch of wannabe Floyds out there, right? Adrian Broner, he came in trying to do the shoulder wall, the different stuff. It just, if you don't have the total package from the focus to the tactician approach where, every moment it seems almost scripted because he knows what you're about to do before you do it. And he makes you look silly, There's nothing you could do with that.
Basically, all of Floyd's fights look the same. He's a perfect. I said, as far as pure boxing skill, the art of hitting and not getting hit, I've never seen anyone better than Floyd. That's why when people's like, do you think such and such can beat him and such and such, like they're like, can Sugar Ray beat Floyd? And I'm like, my money's got to go on Floyd. You know why? Because I've never seen him lose. I've seen Sugar Ray lose. I've never seen Floyd do it.
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
I can say that with anyone. Until you prove this guy can be beat, I don't believe you.
Sugar Ray.
Pause.
Sugar Ray jumping rope right now. Like,
you don't think Sugar Ray could beat Floyd?
I think he could.
I don't think he could. You know why I say that? This is why I say it. Because think about it now. Duran got Sugar Ray off his team just by talking shit.
Yeah.
He got Sugar Ray frustrated. He got Sugar Ray out of his game, fighting no fight. He wanted to fight him.
True.
So
that's a good point.
I can see Floyd doing that.
Duran's also aggressive. Like Floyd's a counterpuncher. It's not the same.
Doesn't matter. The point is he can wield the fight to go his way. I've seen Sugar Ray not, fall prey to things.
True.
I ain't seen it from Floyd.
Sugar Ray fought Hearns in his prime. Man, I'm not putting a lot past Sugar Ray, man. I ain't even a big Sugar Ray guy. My guys
I've never seen Floyd lose. That's all I'm saying.
All right, man. Whatever.
I've never seen him lose, and all his fights.
I seen him caught though. And that was by old Mosley.
Floyd Mayweather has been hit hard 3 times in his life, and 2 of those was from his dad.
Come on.
Go to the next topic, man. I don't want to hear this anymore.
So listen. The fight game, we could talk about it forever, ladies and gents, but listen, we're going to get to our last topic here. Give me your top 3 favorite sports movies of all time. After all, this is Supreme Clientele. T, we're going to start with you.
So many.
All right, man. Well, I struggled mightily with this. I'm just going to tell you right now. I ended up having to try to use a different kind of approach. All right. So here's kind of how I broke it down. Hopefully you guys don't chastise me too much here. All right. So I was like, okay, well, if I want to laugh, what's the best sports movie for me to laugh on? And I had to pick the Best of Times with Robin Williams. Because the movie just cracks me up, man. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's an all-timer. It's got so many lines, so much material. It's just the older that I get, the more funny it becomes, because it's just so sad. I mean, the dude he dropped the pass in high school, he just can't get over it. Like, come on, man, just move on. Anyway, so that movie cracks me up. And then I had to think, all right, well, if I want to see like a great performance, like an acting performance, what would I put on? And I really couldn't make a decision between Raging Bull and the Hurricane. So either one of those would do for me if I want to see like a great performance. And then this last one, really going to stretch you guys out. All right. I was like, all right, what if I want to feel inspired? What would I watch if I want to feel inspired?
You better not damn well say Rudy, but go ahead.
That was in my head.
Inspired, not yeah.
Or radio.
Radio. No, it ain't radio. Karate Kid, man. I chose the Karate Kid. So I mean,
okay. I guess
most
I see it. It's a sports movie.
Are, what's that? I mean, most sports movies are, kind of inspirational, but the Karate Kid, I mean, all of us here are military brats, and we've all seen some version of that story play out. When you move somewhere, somebody's a new kid, and I mean, it doesn't go all the way to the Cobra Kai type stuff. People pushing, like half a mountain when you're riding your stuff, but the story it's kind of a familiar story. Daniel had heart, man, and it was an inspirational story. So that those
let me tell you something about Daniel. Daniel should have minded his own business.
Yeah,
that's what Daniel should have done.
Have that debate another.
I think that little punk got exactly what he deserved. I'm Team Johnny.
Here's what I
debate that another time.
Here's what I will say about Karate Kid. It had the illest montage song, perhaps, of all time.
Right, man.
The
Best Around is the one. That is the one. That is the one.
Yeah, you get more inspired than that one. You can't get
Best
more
Around.
Yeah,
that was a joint.
Yeah.
The Best Around and Eye of the Tiger. They're fighting neck and neck.
I got Best Around over that joint because the joint.
Over Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Fight till you drop, yo. That's insane.
Never stop. You can't give up until you reach the top.
Bro. You're the best in town. Listen to that sound. a little bit of all you got will never bring you down. I'm ready for it right now. Ready right now. I'm ready right now. Yo,
That's inspired already, don't you? Yeah, man.
Out of control, yo.
So that's my list, Antoine. That's it.
No doubt. I'm gonna jump in, then I'm gonna let Odds jump in and Greg take us home here. So for me, my number 3 is He Got Game, right? So I think about the acting, I think about the storytelling, I think about the iconic lines, and overall, I just think about it from a lot of ball players' perspective. That is a lot of people's stories. So I just thought it was really great. And then for me, I think the behind the scenes piece where Denzel really trying to get buckets on prime Ray Allen. I just said, listen, I don't know that you even had to script that. That was just, and the fact that he got a couple on him, right? This was like, it was great. That's about
Look, the only reason Denzel got those buckets is because Ray Allen didn't know they were really playing.
He figured it out halfway.
He was like, wait a minute, what? Denzel got to talking. He was like, oh, okay.
Turn into a different game.
I give it to Denzel though. Hey, he wanted all the smoke. Denzel wasn't. He was out there balling for real. He held his own. I was impressed.
I wasn't mad at it. That's what I'm saying. That's what when you get that. I actually learned that years after the movie came out. I was like, oh, he did what? I was like, oh, interesting. I always wondered what Ray Allen's perspective was on that. I don't think I ever heard it, but I know it has to be hilarious. That's probably what you said. You realized he was playing for real. Was like, oh, nah.
No, they said that Ray Allen went to Spike Lee. Was like, ain't I supposed to shut him out? And Spike Lee was like, hey, you want to play? So he was like, oh, you want to play? And before you know it, Denzel's on his back because Ray Allen then gave him a forearm to the chest. Hit that wet jump.
Welcome to the NBA. But my number 2 for me, little known movie. I love working out, Pumping Iron. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know it's more documentary style, but I just love the way.
Wild dude.
Yeah, he's a wild boy. They had Lou Ferrigno in that joint.
Yeah,
and a little bit of everybody. I mean, it's just legendary, showing the scene of bodybuilding at that time, Venice Beach, and all of that is just. Listen, sometimes simplicity is the best approach, and I loved everything about that. I could throw that on any day of the week and get some enjoyment out of it.
Yo, who's the little dude that used to? Well, little dude is he's a little dude compared to Arnold. Who's the little dude that used to work out with Arnold, the short guy?
Oh, I think he died recently. I forget his name. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
I wonder. I'm trying to figure out his name. That dude was a beast, man.
He was. And I can't remember I think Arnold showed him how to open up and everything too, in terms of how to make himself bigger and whatnot, because he was a tiny guy. Like, that's what was crazy. Arnold would show you how to win and then still find a way to go out there. And he was winning these contests. I was just like, what do you do with that, yo?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But yeah, listen, it made a lot of sense.
I mean, he used to be, he was like a bodybuilder, and then he became like an actor. And then
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He finished. And then the governor, and then like even
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Go ahead, Antoine. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm waiting on it, yo. No. One of my personal favorites, and I'll keep it brief so we could get through the other two, is Creed 2. I think there's a line in that.
You said 2.
Yeah, 2. Drago joint.
Okay.
Drago joint is 2, right?
Yeah. No, you got it. I was just saying.
That's the second one.
Yeah, I think it said, if we don't do what we love, we don't exist, or something like that. And I just look at that kind of pulsating, how the story itself is told, and the differences in, Creed and also Drago's son and their approaches to everything. And one of my favorite parts of the movie is actually when he loses the first time, right? Because when he catches him with the body shot and he kind of goes to one knee, I think it is, and the ref's trying to like stop him and anything. And he comes in, he gives him another one to like black him out. I just thought that was kind of like emblematic of the whole film right there, of like their differences in terms of not just style, but how they felt about everything. He didn't care that he was down. And I think that changed. And this is a totally different movie here. I'm going off topic, but Denzel in one of those movies says that there's pain that hurts and there's pain that alters, right? The Equalizer joint, right? And that shit did both to Creed. it got him back on his game. You know, he's like, no.
Yeah.
He knocked him into a new life.
The weird beef. That Drago Creed beef has been going on for far too long. That's crazy.
So, yeah, there's more I want to say, but I'm going to save that for another time because we will revisit sports movies again in the future. But go ahead, Aj.
I'll be quick. I'll be quick because of time.
Damn, I love that movie.
No, the Creed series is really, really top notch. The third, it ended very well. All that stuff. It actually did something that I've always wanted to see in a box movie. I digress from that. Anyway, my number 3 is Sandlot. I mean,
I like that. I like that.
It has to be Sandlot, man. I mean, it's like a girl, everything. The whole thing was crazy. Some girl signed it, baby Ruth. I don't know. The whole thing is awesome. My number 2 is actually Creed, the first Creed, because it was a rebirth. Star Wars should have took notes on how to redo a series from the beginning. They did it as just a modern way, and it was probably the second best. If you threw the Rocky and Creeds together, maybe the second best movie of the entire series, which is saying a lot.
I'll say something controversial. I actually like Creed 1 better than all the Rocky movies.
Well,
that's just lunacy.
I would almost agree with that, but my number 1 movie is Rocky.
That's just lunacy.
Is the first Rocky. Of course, out of the series, the most entertaining Rocky was Rocky 3. But
easily.
Yeah.
Easily the most entertaining.
Sorry, woman. So I
still say to this day, Clubber Lang was robbed. Clubber Lang was robbed, and Mr. T was robbed. He should have got an Oscar. He's the greatest antagonist. Him and Shonuff are the best antagonists I've ever seen in a movie in my life.
When he was doing those pull-ups and he was grunting when he was doing like that's the most intimidating. I was intimidated. He's like, everything he did was just intimidating, man. It was awesome.
Clubber Lang's got a Draymond Green type rage about him.
Honestly, like I don't know how. I know they've been making probably athlete movies since the beginning of when they've been making movies, but I think that was kind of like the blueprint for all athlete movies afterwards. Like I think they all have to follow that pattern because otherwise it's just not going to work. Like Rocky 1's not only probably the best sports movie ever made, but it's still the blueprint movie for it as well. So
I definitely agree with that blueprint joint. Everything follows that model. It's got to have a montage. Got to do all the.
You got to lose somewhere in there and gain it back. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and it's ironic because the first Rocky, the thing I think that people probably, if you never for whatever reason hadn't seen it, is he actually lost the fight. That's the part. Yeah, people don't even remember that he lost the fight because of how hard he went. So
the first Rocky is the only moral victory movie for sports I've ever seen.
Yeah, and
it is a real moral. Well, that one, no, Cool Runnings too, but that was all
Cool Runnings. Yeah, Cool Runnings is probably second. Yeah, it's probably second.
But that's based on a true story, so
fair enough.
A little different.
Yeah,
but there's something to be said though when you have a movie like that because he could have had him win.
Yeah,
he chose to go the opposite way.
But he didn't. Yeah, he could have won. Yeah,
because usually it's like cheesy, like they getting the ass beat, and then out of the blue it's like some Gatorade.
It was cool because his victory was just surviving. Like that was the part that made it different. It was like his victory is just being there. And it
that was his goal.
That's tough. Yeah, his goal. His own goal was just to finish. Yeah, it was just to finish. That's it. I mean, you can't ask for more, man. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. That's dope.
I think Stallone being a boxing fan is the reason why he lost. Because he made the perfect fighter, basically Apollo Creed.
Right.
Off the street, I mean, just to hang with him is enough.
That's funny. You said that even in the Creeds, like when Adonis first meets Rocky, he says like, "Well, how did you beat him?" He says, "I didn't beat him. I mean, time beat him." He said, "No one could beat that guy."
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he was like, "No one could beat him." I mean, like that's not what this is. So. Yeah, he did. He made Creed the perfect fighter. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got carried away.
No, this is perfect. I loved it. I'm trying not to say more to it now because
yeah,
that whole series. Yeah.
I mean, you can go on and on with it.
No, I'm good.
I mean, it's on my list too.
Well, I wanted to hear the rest of them, so you know.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and knock these out real quick. Rocky's on there. We've already just had a long monologue about it, so no need to rehash all that. A number 2. I'm gonna have to go with The Program. The Program is as far as football movies go, to me, it's the most entertaining. Yeah, it's the most entertaining. I mean, the characters that they had in there were great. Lattimore was great. Mac was great. The guy that was cheating on Halle Berry was great. I don't know his name. The guy that was cheating on Halle Berry, Omar Epps, great. You know, the coach, what's
James Caan. Yeah.
Killed it.
Phenomenal, yo. That's one of my favorite ones too. Yeah.
Program is
I'm gonna have to go with The Program. And the last one, because I'm a jerk, Kingpin. Hilarious.
The bowling joint.
Yeah, the bowling one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now. You know what? I'm gonna have to put Big Earn right up there with Shonuff and Clever Lang. Bill Murray in that movie is one of the biggest pieces of shit on the planet. He is a horrible dude. And I was so glad that he wanted the end. I was so glad he wanted the end. He didn't deserve it. He was a jerk. He was arrogant. He was outrageous. He was basically Donald Trump without the racism in a bowling ball. And he won. And you know what? I was like, that's the most American thing I've ever seen. He's horrible, and he wins anyway. He's the worst. He is the worst of us, and he won.
That is the American way. Yo, bonus time question. Bring the bell here. If you could play any of the characters that you mentioned, or maybe in a sports movie that you didn't mention, what character would you play? You don't got to say why, but just which character would you play?
Big Earn. I would play Bill Murray and be a Kingpin. He's horrible. He's such a jerk. He's such a piece of crap.
You're like, yeah, I can feel this. Let's do it.
It's so much. It looks like so much fun to play him. If I wasn't gonna play him, it would have to be Chubbs from Happy Gilmore.
Oh, you mean like play as an act as the character?
Yeah. Like if you hot tub time machine, if you can go in time and you were given the opportunity to just kind of take that role. Yeah.
Dang, that's tough.
You got any thoughts, T?
Of my movie choices, I guess I would try I'd try Hurricane. I'd try that one. That would definitely expand you.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
that's a tough story too. So that's
man. Oh man. I don't think I got one, man. I don't think I got one.
You be the trainer. Go to
dance. I don't think I got one. Maybe my thing is like, could I
be Wesley Snipes on White Man Can't Jump?
Could I have done a better job than the person who did it? And like, you know, all the real iconic ones?
No. Yeah.
Oh no, as far as acting, no, I could never be as good as Bill Murray.
I'm not taking
crazy to say.
I can't take Mr. T's spot, yo. It's ridiculous.
It'd be so much fun, right?
That's what I was thinking. Like Clubber Lang joint is mad fun. Especially the stairs joint where y'all bet your old lady stay up all times of night. What the hell?
Just dreaming of a real man. Would you come on my pump? Show you a real man.
I was trying not to laugh saying it. Yo,
I
it's like
wish they would have had like a montage of what was going through Adrian's head, and just be her with her legs up and him going,
as he's doing the pull-ups.
When Apollo turned around, he said, "Don't turn your back on me, sucker!" Like that. Man,
you know what's crazy about that movie, that Rocky movie? There is no way that if Apollo was still the champ, Clubber Lang would have ever beat Apollo.
No,
Apollo would have destroyed Clubber.
Not even close. That would have been
close.
He would have smoked him.
Hey, you know what I think is the least fun to do? Space Jam. Anyway, go ahead.
Any one of them. Listen.
The least
Ladies
amount of
and
fun to
gents.
do? Yeah, probably.
Don't look like fun, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
You know what? I got an honorable mention too that I forgot to say. Ali.
Oh,
I love that movie.
We're
But
doing that.
was more about a man than the sport. That's why I didn't put it in there.
we're doing that. It's Goon. Goon is my honorable mention.
Oh, Goon is the joint.
No, I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't want to play that character.
See, I wouldn't want to play him. I
I
would play
played
the
the
other
kid's
guys,
friend.
those other guys on his team.
Yeah.
I want to play one of them.
No way, baby came out of it. No way you would die.
Yeah.
It's like, what? He said, "I'm on your team." You else hearing this?
Ask Robert Horry, that doesn't matter. But no, listen, ladies and gents. Greg knows what I'm talking about. That's our show, Supreme.
That's Robert Horry.
Robert Horeen.
Yeah.
Pepe Le Pew Parker, listen.
Who made you stroke?
Greg, what'd you
There's
say?
a reason why he kept getting traded.
Who made you stroke?
That's it.
Wasn't he on the Spurs too? You know
Who
he was
that?
on the Spurs.
Who
You
made
know
you?
he was on the Spurs too, wasn't he? Oh,
Spurs had a lot of players.
yeah. They had some players on the court and off. And you know, Robert Horry, he's always been known to hit it in the clutch, so.
Apparently he didn't miss. Ladies and gents, that's our show. Supreme Clientele. Greg Goody, Aj T, Smallwood Worldwide. We'll see you again sooner than you think. Peace.